Hello people and welcome back to Kudostudy. This is Sukriti from IIM Ranchi और आज हम बात करेंगे मेरे IIM Ranchi Interview Experience के बारे में. So without wasting any time further, let's get into the video. Okay, so सबसे पहले starting with जैसे ही मुझे मेल आया कि आई हैव टू सेट फॉर द PI राउंड, आई वॉज वेरी नर्वस. आई वॉज एक्सट्रीमली नर्वस बिकॉज ट्रस्ट मी, मैंने उस दिन के पहले कोई और इंटरव्यू नहीं दिया था एंड आई वॉज रियली स्केर्ड कि मैं क्या करके आऊँगी इंटरव्यू के लिए. बट लाइक एवरी अदर स्टूडेंट, डरने से तो काम चलता नहीं है. सो आई डिसाइडेड कि ओके फाइन, आई विल प्रिपेयर फॉर द इंटरव्यू एंड आई स्टार्टेड स्टडीइंग, लाइक अपने कंसेप्ट्स को थोड़ा बहुत ब्रश अप कर रही थी. बट क्योंकि उतना ज़्यादा टाइम बचा नहीं था तो अकेडमिक्स पे बहुत ज़्यादा ध्यान तो नहीं दे पाई थी. तो थोड़ा बहुत जो लगता था कि हर सब्जेक्ट से एक दो चैप्टर्स में मेरा स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड है, उन्हीं को अच्छे से पढ़ लिया था. एंड बाकी जनरल अवेयरनेस, उस टाइम पे जो न्यूज़ में आ रहा था वो सारी चीज़ों को पढ़ना, लास्ट 2-3 महीने का GK अच्छे से पढ़ना, देन जनरल चीज़ें, स्टॉक्स क्या होते हैं, ओके, और ये सारी चीज़ें, बिजनेस रिलेटेड टर्म्स, कंसेप्ट्स, थोड़ा बहुत ये सब देख लिया था. एंड थोड़ा बहुत रिसर्च किया था अपने हॉबीज़ एंड इंटरेस्ट्स के बारे में. एंड एज फार एज आई कैन रिमेंबर, शायद 2 मॉक इंटरव्यूज़ दिए थे मैंने, एंड वो भी कोई बहुत अच्छे नहीं थे. CL के मॉक इंटरव्यूज़ लिए थे बट बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छे मुझे नहीं लगे बिकॉज वो मुझे जो क्वालिटी ऑफ इंटरव्यूज़ चाहिए थे, मुझे रियल लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए था, वो मुझे नहीं मिल पा रहा था. तो उतना अच्छा गाइडेंस भी नहीं मिल पाया. बट thankfully I had my mother with me and she was like telling me everything कि ये पढ़ो, this will help you. So मैंने उनकी सारी बातें सुनी and almost जितने भी basic areas होते हैं, like academics हो गया, general awareness हो गया, business related चीज़ें हो गई कुछ, then about my hobbies and interests, उनसे क्या क्या follow up questions बन सकते हैं, ये सारी चीज़ें मैं पढ़ के गई थी. Now the day of the interview comes and आई रिमेंबर मेरा इंटरव्यू शाम के 4 बजे स्केड्यूल था एंड मेरी आदत शुरू से रही है कि मैं दिन में सो जाती हूँ. तो आई वॉज फीलिंग वेरी स्लीपी. 4 बजते तक तो मेरी हालत ख़राब हो गई थी क्योंकि 2 घंटे पहले से मैं तैयार होकर सामने बैठी हुई थी वेटिंग फॉर माई टर्न. बट 4 बजने के बाद भी मेरा टर्न नहीं आया. आई हैड जॉइंड द जूम लिंक बट इट वॉज गिविंग की वेटिंग फॉर द होस्ट टू लेट यू इन, ऐसे टाइप समथिंग. 4 से 5 बज गया. आई वॉज सिटिंग देयर, आई वॉज पैनिकिंग एंड मैं टेलीग्राम पे बार चेक कर रही थी. अच्छा, इससे ये पूछा, ओ शिट, मैंने ये तो पढ़ा ही नहीं है, ओ शिट, ये तो मैंने पढ़ा ही नहीं है. तो ओके, आई विल गिव यू सम टिप्स इन द एंड ऑफ दिस वीडियो. तो ये बिल्कुल नहीं करना चाहिए. एंड उससे और भी ज़्यादा पैनिक कर रही थी, और भी ज़्यादा नर्वस हो रही थी. बट फाइनली मुझे एंट्री मिलती है and I have Virat sir and Anshuman sir as the panelists. And I was like, oh my god, I don't know what is going to happen now. So they started off with the interview. They asked me, at first they were like, hi Sukriti, how are you doing? I was like, yes sir, nice. So I was very scared. Then they tried to calm me down a little bit and they started off with the questions. So talking about the kinds of questions I was asked. So the first question was based upon my hometown. So they asked me that where do I belong, then what my city is really famous for, and then they were just trying to test that whether I know much about my city, about my place or not. Then the second question came about my parents, my family, that what do they do. Okay, then I told them, okay, my parents have a business. And then the follow-up questions upon it, okay, what kind of business. Then I remember somewhere I mentioned about optical fibers. So they asked me that what these optical fibers are used for. So just one tip I would like to give here, that whatever you are saying, try to be very confident about it. and you should know what you're trying to say. Okay, suppose if you're telling about your parents, then you should know about what your parents really do. Okay, you should have an in-depth knowledge of it. It should not be like that you just mentioned and then you don't know what to say next. So have an in-depth knowledge about everything, and if you don't know about it, then just directly say that you don't know. Don't just keep on ranting about it or beating the bush, right? Be very specific and very confident in whatever you're speaking. Then there were questions related to my academics. So they asked me, which is your favorite subject? I said biology. They asked me around 4 to 5 questions on biology, and I was able to answer most of them. I think one I wasn't able to answer, and rest I was able to answer. So yeah. Then apart from academics, I was also asked a lot of questions based on my extracurricular activity. I had 2 extra skills, I would say, or interests, I would say. Okay, one was painting and the second one was writing. I wrote a lot of poetry. I used to do a lot of poetry, and mostly in Hindi. Very little poetries in English I've done, and I used to write a lot. So these 2 extracurricular activities I was pretty much involved with. So what I did was, all of my paintings, I had approximately 7 to 8 paintings at that time, and I had put all of my paintings on the wall behind me. So as soon as I mentioned, they asked me, okay, what else do you like to do apart from academics? And I mentioned that, sir, I love doing painting. So as soon as I said painting, the next question was, okay, those paintings behind you, are they made by you? And I was like, yes, sir. And they were really, really impressed by it, because they knew I was just not saying for the sake of saying. I really have a huge amount of interest in painting. Then they asked me a lot of questions related to painting, related to folk art, etc., etc. And they also, when I told that I also write, they asked me to read out a poem of my mind. So I remember Janmashtami had just passed away, so I had written a poem on Sri Krishna in Hindi, and I read out to them, and they were very, very interested and very, very intrigued by it. But then a question came to me that, okay, fine, if I'm so much interested in literature, in art, in such artistic subjects, then why do I really want to do BBA or not? Why do I want IPM? And they were very much insisting upon this question, that if you are so much interested in such artistic subjects, then why don't you choose your favorite subjects and do graduation with them? Join some good university instead of joining an IIM. But I was very clear with my goals, I was very clear with my answer, and I explained to them that why do I want to study in an IIM and not study these subjects just as it is. So they were a little bit convinced, but then they again asked me a question that, what if you don't get into IIM Ranchi? What backup options do you have? Now here I answered that, sir, if not this year, definitely next year, I will again be sitting in front of you, right here only, and answering your questions all over again, because IIM Ranchi is what I want, and that is why I don't have any backup options. And they just said nothing upon this answer. Now this was going on in my mind, that either they are very convinced and very impressed by my answer, or they think that I'm a really big fool, because having a backup, having a second plan isn't part of management, right? What if you fail the first time? You should have something else to rely on. So I just didn't knew at that time, and my interview ended right there. So they said, okay, Sukriti, you can go now. And I was like, sir, do you have any other questions to ask me? I'm ready to answer if you have any questions for me. And they were like, no, you can go and have a cup of tea and relax. I was so confused at that very moment. But now I know that my interview went well because here I am. So yeah, that was my IPM IIM Ranchi interview experience. Talking about the tips. Tip number 1. The day your interview is scheduled, take a nice long sleep before that. Eat something light and take a nice sleep. Tip number 1. Coming over to tip number 2. Do not be active on Telegram or any other social media handles as such. Neither Instagram. Do not keep asking people what is asked to them. Because उससे क्या होता है कि आप पूछते हो, अच्छा ये पूछा आपसे, आप और पैनिक करते हो, शिट मैंने ये तो पढ़ा ही नहीं. फिर आपका कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल धीरे धीरे करके गिरता जाता है. तो ये बिल्कुल भी नहीं करना है. आपने जितना पढ़ा है, जो किया है, बी वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट विद इट. बस ठीक है, अच्छे से फेस करो, अच्छे से आंसर करो. इंटरव्यूअर्स को दिखाओ कि व्हाई आर यू स्टैंडिंग आउट फ्रॉम ऑल द अदर एस्पिरेंट्स आउट देयर. बी कॉन्फिडेंट एंड बिलीव इन योरसेल्फ. दिस वाज टिप नंबर 2. नाउ कमिंग ओवर टू टिप नंबर 3. बी वेरी हम्बल एंड पोलाइट इन आंसरिंग. ठीक है, कॉन्फिडेंट होने का ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप एरोगेंट लगो अपने पैनलिस्ट को. बहुत हम्बली एंड बहुत ध्यान से सुनो कि व्हाट द पैनलिस्ट्स आर आस्किंग फ्रॉम यू. बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स व्हाट हैपन्स विद स्टूडेंट्स इज कि उनसे क्वेश्चन कुछ पूछा जा रहा है एंड वो सुन नहीं रहे हैं ढंग से, वो आंसर कुछ और कर रहे हैं. एंड दिस गिव्स अ रियली बैड इंप्रेशन इन फ्रंट ऑफ देम. ट्रस्ट मी अपॉन दिस. ओके, so listen carefully and be very humble when you're answering. Don't try to show off. हाँ ठीक है, बहुत सारे एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर्स होंगे तुम्हारे पास, उनको शो ऑफ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. They are very experienced people and they will know if you really have any talents, if you're really a deserving candidate or you're just showing off. Okay, so coming over to the next tip, I would say कि सही से ग्रीट करना. ओके, बिकॉज if it's 4 p.m. in the evening and you're wishing good morning, then that's a big blunder. Okay, so beware of the time at which your interview is scheduled. And yeah, that was it, I think. So all the best to all the people जिनके IIM Ranchi के interviews अभी बचे हुए हैं. And if you need help with anything, I would suggest कि mock interviews ज़रूर से लो. बिकॉज बिना मॉक इंटरव्यूज़ के ऐसे आप हज़ारों वीडियोस देख लोगे क्या करना चाहिए क्या नहीं करना चाहिए, पर फिर भी अपनी मेन इंटरव्यू वाले दिन वही मिस्टेक करके आओगे जो नहीं करने को बोला गया था. बिकॉज मॉक इंटरव्यूज़ में होता क्या है, यू आर फेसिंग दैट इन्वायरमेंट, राइट. आपको उसी टाइम पे पता चल जाता है कि आप कितने पानी में हो. देन आपको करेक्शंस मिलता है, अपने आप को सही करने का एक मौका मिलता है, राइट. अगर आप डायरेक्टली इंटरव्यू देने जाओगे तो आपको वो मौका नहीं मिलेगा. सो आई वुड सजेस्ट यू टू टेक द मॉक इंटरव्यूज एंड अभी भी टाइम है, यू कैन प्रिपेयर. ठीक है, वी आर हियर टू गाइड यू गाइज, वी आर ऑलवेज हियर फॉर यू गाइज. ओके, सो अगर कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो सो यू कैन कमेंट डाउन बिलो और ऑल्सो join our telegram group. वहाँ पर discussions होते रहते हैं. If you need any help from us, you can also tag us and we'll be replying you directly over there too. And yeah, that was it from my side. I hope my interview experience helps you guys. All the very best. Goodbye and take care. Lots of love to you guys. Bye bye.